Hey, you guys, and welcome in. My name's Tom, your neighborhood butcher, and today we're going to go over how to pick out the perfect T-bone. We're going to go over the New York strip, the T-bone, and the porterhouse, and try to make sure you're getting the best variety at your local grocery stores. All right, let's get into this. Let's look at these T-bone porterhouses and New York strips and pick out the best ones. I'm going to show you how to do it. Let's get into it. All right. This is a T-bone. That is actually a porterhouse pack. Good looking pack. That's more of a New York strip pack, and this is another nice porterhouse pack, in my opinion. Two nice porterhouses. These are New York strips, and you can see right there, no filet mignon, no tenderloin on that New York strip, and that is not the best looking pack, in my opinion. See that? No filet mignon. No filet mignon. It's hard to tell with the label there, but no filet mignon. No filet mignon. Good looking New York strip packs. Um, and don't get me wrong, New York strip's a good steak. It really is. Bone in New York, especially because where that meat touches that bone, around those edges, that bone's going to flavor that meat as you cook it, and it's going to be a good eating experience. But not like the filet mignon. This is just a decent on the small side, T-bone side, small side, T-bone side. So just decent packages. But hey, look at that right there. Those, those right there are beautiful T-bones on the pretty good side of the T-bone. So you remember, you're going to go 4 to 6 porterhouses and then 4 to 6 T-bones down the short loin, and then the last 4 steaks is going to be, in that New York range. And in my opinion, that's on the smaller side, more the New York side of that T-bone as the tenderloin starts to get smaller. So it's going to start out like this, and that tenderloin is just going to work its way down as you get into the New York strip. Pretty soon just going to end up with nothing. So that's not too bad of one right there. It's pretty good. Oh, there's a nice T-bone pack and a porterhouse. So that's a T-bone porterhouse pack in my opinion. But there's New York strip. Decent T-bone pack. Oh, that's a good looking T-bone pack there. One T-bone, one porterhouse looks like. Again, one T-bone, one porterhouse, or just two good looking large size T-bones. You see the difference between the two. Yep. That first one I picked up was the T-bone. The other one is the porterhouses. Now this right here, these are just decent sized T-bones. Again, this is on the small side of the T-bone as you're going into the New York, but still decent cuts. And those steaks have some decent marbling to them, and I think they're going to grill up pretty nicely. A little bit of discoloration around these edges, so that might be one you'd want to avoid a little bit. If that fat starts to turn a little green, I mean, you can cut that away. Meat's a lot like cheese, especially fat. You can cut the aging stuff away. But if you want to err on the more sanitary side, I would pick a different pack. All right, just a good looking T-bone pack on the smaller side. Now we're gonna put these New Yorks back and some of these funkier cuts, and I'm gonna try to pick you out my favorite 3 or 4 packs, in this selection of T-bones that we're looking at, T-bone porterhouses and New York strips. And with this company here, they call all the packages T-bone, so I apologize, but there are 3 different varieties. Um, and you see this pack right here, that's your porterhouse pack. Two good looking porterhouse steaks that are gonna be perfect his or her steaks. The filet mignon right there, or beef tenderloin for her, and the New York strip for him. And then this is going to be my second choice. These are good looking porterhouses, maybe one T-bone, one porterhouse, or just two bigger T-bones, or on the small side porterhouses. But this is a nice looking pack right here. And then this one in the middle is just two perfect examples of the T-bone. And you just can't really represent T-bones any better than that. Very nice. And that's my third choice because we're looking at filet mignon. The filet mignon, remember the filet mignon is your 21.99, $22 a pound piece of meat that we're getting for, in this case, $7.99 a pound. So you'd like those packs to have that bigger filet mignon on it, so that you can have a really nice tender piece of meat when you're eating that filet mignon. Yep. So that's perfect T-bone. So we're looking at two there. If you're looking for the perfect T-bone, that's a 0. Those are New York strips, not as good a piece of meat. That's a good looking pack right there. There's two right there Those are two porterhouses right there and beautiful looking steaks. And I would choose those any day of the week right there. And that's a good looking pack of meat. Beautiful looking filet mignons. You know, the push test works. When you can push in on that meat like that, and it's nice and soft to the touch, and it's not real rigid, that means the grain's been cut the right way. Because if that grain's standing up, you'll be able to push into that meat, and it'll easily slide down. But if that grain's sitting like this, and you're trying to push down that meat, it's going to be a lot harder and a lot more denser. So that really tells you, how the grain of meat is by being able to push into that and it being nice and soft to the touch. Let's see what else we have here. There's a T-bone New York strip pack. So in my opinion, one, two, and three. So porterhouse, small porterhouse, perfect T-bone. That's the ticket. That one right there, man. That one right there in the middle, you got to give a little credit. It has good marbling to it, and it probably will be a very tasty steak. Where you're getting into that, like more like a ribeye, where it has fat that runs through the actual grain of the meat, and is very well marbled and very tasty. That one in the middle will probably be the tastiest of all three of these. But tenderness wise, the other one with the nice big porterhouse will be better. And then there, classic T-bone. Now we're going to start looking at the smaller packs, and we're going to try to find us some nice, if you just want one single pack for just you, what are we going to pick out? So let's take a look at these packages here and see which one's the best out of these single packs. Oh, classic T-bone right there. Look at those three. Oh, so you got porterhouse, T-bone, porterhouse. That is, look at the marbling on that. The marbling is really nice in that filet mignon and in this New York strip. That is a very nice steak. More on the T-bone side rather than the porterhouse, but very nice nonetheless. Very pretty. That's a good looking steak right there. And then that's a porterhouse. Oh, do you see that? It's an end cut. So that's the first porterhouse off of the short loin. And a lot of the times this will have a little bit of an indention on it. Sometimes it can have some bone, a little sinew on the back of it. There's a lot of weird little things that can end up on the back of that first cut. And if you can avoid it, but it does have the biggest tenderloin usually. But sometimes that tenderloin isn't cut square, or sometimes it'll be a wedge cut. So pay attention to that. Yep, unfortunately. But look at that tenderloin. It looks good. It has some nice marbling to it. And then there, right there, that is the perfect example of a beautiful porterhouse steak. Nice tenderloin, beautiful big New York strip. You can see up here, the butcher even took the time to cut off that tough gristle that's on that corner. And then there's just not a lot of fat to this, which is nice. It's a very lean, nice looking porterhouse steak. And that would be my number one choice right there, in my opinion, anyway. See, I kind of disagree with myself. That's the wedge cut. If you're looking for a T-bone, that's the number one. If you're looking for a porterhouse, that second one would be my favorite cut. So I hope this helped you in picking out a beautiful steak when you're looking at the T-bone porterhouse or New York strip. Look for those beautiful T-bone sales at your local grocery stores to get the best deal possible in the market. Hey, my name's Tom, your neighborhood butcher, and thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll see you next time when we're picking out steaks. All right, bye now.